An active shooter, the firing of the gun directs a police officer to do what?
To go to the shots
For what purpose?
to stop the killing.
And is there a second prong to active shooting from stop the killing?
Stop the dying.
And so if somebody is in 111 and 112 firing, an officer's obligation under active shooting is to stop the killing and stop the dying?
Correct.
So
Has this officer ever been under
all
active fire?
individuals who are shot do not die.
He's an accountant.
Correct.
Some are injured.
Yes.
And what do injured people injured by gunfire need?
Medical attention.
And can that be?
He is not charged for what happened inside the school. This is so inflammatory,
okay.
prejudicial.
Here's the problem, Nick. I think that the state, again, that is how the defense sees the case. The state sees him as guilty for everything that the shooter did because he was able to get in the school, because it was solely Adrian Gonzalez's responsibility that day, apparently.
Yeah. Even though we clearly see 3 cop cars with a clear line of sight, nobody drives there, even though, according to his animation, there were shots fired.
Yeah, and he just admitted that a car isn't great, coverage, but that it's got the engine block. Why didn't those assholes drive up the driveway?
If they had started driving towards him, would he have made a beeline towards the entrance?
School?
Yeah,
or
maybe.
would he have engaged?
Yeah.
That would have been a distraction, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Slow or should it be quick?
It should be as quick as possible.
Yeah, I'm sick of this.
All right, let's go to
Cross. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Nick. Sorry, I was like, please, can we just skip?
Mr.
I
Turner?
love that it's Friday and we
possible.
can do this.
I have it.
Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry. And so you said initially you weren't doing how many?
The teams, the synchronization.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, safety. Pass the witness.
Yes, sir, thank you.
They need to do this
Ranger Hill, my name is Nico
clinically
Wood.
and annihilate
One of the
this guy.
lawyers is representing Mr. Gonzalez. You've testified before?
Yes.
Okay. So you understand cross-examination?
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask you questions, leading questions, some open-ended questions, but the rules allow that. And I'm going to ask you specific questions, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to push back on you a little bit, but I want to give you a heads up.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I'm not attacking your character, but I'm going to attack your opinions
Do it.
and your perceptions, okay?
Yeah.
And if you don't understand my question, you just tell me, Nico, just repeat that, or I don't understand that, and I'm happy to do that, okay?
Yes.
What did you review and prepare in preparation for your testimony today?
I reviewed the critical videos that I used to prepare the synchronization. I reviewed the timeline events up to approximately 11:45
Where did you get the timeline?
a.m., as well as all the diagrams, the physical evidence that was collected, or the physical evidence log, as well as my reports.
And what reports did you create? Like individual reports from your earlier investigation?
Yes.
And I think I showed it to you earlier. You created Department of Public Safety Intelligence and Counterterrorism Critical Event Timeline?
There was an analytical team that I was a part of, and we compiled that timeline.
Right. When you say we, how many people? You and how many?
The team started out initially with 7, and then towards the end there were 3.
And you were one of the 3.
Correct.
Okay. And you have a copy of this critical timeline in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if I refer you to pages, I don't have to walk up every time. Can you have it ready, please?
If you could refer me to times.
Yes, sir.
I don't have the page numbers.
Well, they're on the bottom, right? TR.
They're not
0010.
on my copy. I don't have the page numbers, but the times will direct.
Fair enough. But then may I look at your copy really quick?
Sure.
You can keep it there. I'll go to you. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
He doesn't have it in page number order?
Apparently not. Yeah.
And so you said initially you weren't responsible or assigned to putting this timeline together initially, right?
Correct.
You did some interviews,
Correct.
and one of the interviews was of Gilbert Limones.
I interviewed Cody Bersanos.
Who interviewed Gilbert Limones?
I believe that was Ranger Barina.
But you reviewed that interview, right?
I didn't review Gilbert Limones's interview.
I want to make sure I'm clear. You're part of a eventually a three-person team that put all this together, and you didn't interview Mr. Limones? You didn't review his interview?
I didn't review it in preparation for trial. I reviewed it early on in the investigation.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm going to shift now to just the whole investigation and how you put this together.
Okay.
So you did review Gilbert Limones' interview, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And part of that interview, you had to reconcile what he said to his 911 call at 11:29:05, correct?
Yes.
And so if you can refer to 11:29:05, please. For the government, it's page 11, but I don't know if you have numbers. Go.
Yes, I have it.
Okay. Now the 11:29:05, do you see Gilbert Limones called 911?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yes.
We didn't have page numbers. And you can see in third paragraph, he says a lot of information to dispatch. Would you agree?
Yes.
And he says that there's someone shooting at the school, specifically. Third paragraph. Hurry, hurry.
Oh, yes.
He's shooting at the school, not around the school. He's shooting at the school. And as you know, as a ranger and investigator, at means something different, right?
You have to take it into context.
Okay, well, if I say I'm looking at you, does that mean I'm looking at Bill, Mr. Turner?
It's possible.
I can be looking at
What?
you and focused on you. I'm not talking about peripheral. I can look
Nick.
at you and I don't have cross eyes. I'm not looking. I can look at you and look at Mr. Turner at the same time.
Well,
Words mean something. Lawyers know this. And if you are part of the Texas Rangers, I'm sure you understand crafting very accurate words to be used in court. Gilbert Limones said he's shooting at the school, which means that the bullshit animation, he was close. He was at the school. So he wasn't, slow walking. He was already at the school. This officer or this person basically said, so what does at mean? And he's like, well, if you're looking at me, does that mean you can see Bill? Yes.
you can look at me and you can see him in your peripheral view.
I know. I said aside from peripheral, because peripheral is not focused, right?
Correct.
Right. So peripheral, you can see some of the jury like I can, but you can't describe what clothes they're wearing. Now you just turned your head. Now from your peripheral, can you describe clothes on the jury?
I cannot.
You cannot. So I cannot look at you and look at Mr. Turner at the same time. Would you agree?
I can speak for myself on that.
Okay. Will you look at Mr. Turner? Look at Mr. Turner, please. Can you see me in peripheral?
I can.
How many fingers I'm holding up?
I cannot tell.
Okay. So you cannot look at Mr. Turner and look at me at the same time, right?
I cannot.
Okay. That's all I was saying. It wasn't a trick question. And so when Mr. Limones, because you investigated this situation, he said the shooter is shooting, this person is shooting at the school. The vast majority of us, maybe not you, would think that those bullets are going to the direction of the school. Is that a fair statement?
I would say that they were going towards the school.
What's the difference between towards and at to you?
Well, in your definition, at is directly. I would, based on the context of Mr. Limones' 911 call, would interpret what he said is that the shooter is shooting towards the direction or in the direction of the school. Maybe not necessarily at the brick or a particular point.
If someone was pointing a gun at you versus towards you, would you feel any less safe or more in danger?
I would feel equally in danger.
Me too. But what we know though is that Mr. Limones said that to 911 early on, 11:29:05, And we know that the shooter entered the building. You said 11:32:59. Do you remember testifying to that?
When he entered the west door.
Yes, sir. It's really 11:32:58.
Approximately 11:30. Yeah, and
What does your timeline say?
so it's 11:32:58 with some milliseconds, and it rounds up. So it's an approximate.
But in your timeline, it doesn't say 11:32:59, right?
No, it doesn't.
I think this is a timeline independent of any of the independent reports. I think this is the state's fuckery.
Yeah, in the official report from 2022, which you brought up, he was there 03 or something through the door.
Yeah.
11:32:58, but there were milliseconds on the back.
Real quick, does it say milliseconds on your report?
No, I took the milliseconds off, and the exporting program rounded up.
But you testified to this jury, and it's a second, but it matters because time is of the essence. That's been the theme for this jury. So, but your report, your timeline says 11:32:58, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but you testified to this jury was 59.
I testified it was approximately.
Okay, but if anybody's looking at your timeline, it says 11:32:58.
Correct.
Okay, so but we'll go back to 11:29:05. So 11:29:05 is almost 4 minutes before the shooter even enters the building, right? Almost, since we're approximating.
Approximately.
Let's
yes.
approximate together. Okay, so at 11:29:05, Mr. Limones is telling the dispatcher that there's an individual shooting at the school, correct?
Correct.
He also said he jumped into the schoolyard, so now he's shooting at the school, and now he's on the school property, correct?
Yes.
And then he says he's running toward the school, right?
Yes.
And does it give a description of what he's wearing? It's right, it's the next line under.
Which line are you referring to? Sir?
I referenced he's running towards the school, right in the middle, and then right underneath it, it says he's wearing black, correct?
Correct. Correct. Yes, he's wearing black.
And even says he's a young kid, so we know we're not looking for someone with gray hair, right?
Possibly, yes. Yes.
That's approximately. And so this is pretty detailed description of what Mr. Limones was telling the dispatcher almost 4 minutes before this shooter entered the school, right?
Correct.
And then the dispatcher said, I have officers there. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect with you, right?
Are you looking further down on the page?
Yes, sir, at the bottom of that same 11:29:05. Fourth line from the
Yes.
bottom.
Communication says they have units heading that way.
No, well,
and didn't discontinue.
didn't say heading that way. What does it say? Okay, sir. So since I have officers where?
Since I have officers there, yes.
So that the officers are already on the scene. That's what it sounds like. Fair enough?
Yes.
But there weren't officers there, right?
Not at that time.
And so the dispatcher used that excuse to get off the phone with Mr. Limones, right? Mr. Limones, right? I'm going to go ahead and disconnect.
I don't know that it was an excuse.
The reason, I'll say a reason. I'm sorry. The reason.
Possibly.
Well, it's not possibly. I'm going to go ahead and get off and disconnect with you because we have officers there. And that's typical when the officers arrive at the scene, now there's no longer a need for dispatch. So they say, now I'm off and now the officer can take the descriptions you're giving me, right? You know that as standard.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so just so the jury knows, so dispatch stays on the phone with a caller because there could be critical information that maybe other officers need before they arrive at the scene. So the dispatcher stays on the phone the entire time until officers are actually there, right?
Generally, yes.
Generally, and then they get off the phone. But officers were not there.
Correct.
So you agree that the dispatcher probably should have stayed on the phone with Mr. Limones?
Yes.
Okay. And then 5 seconds later at 11:29:10, that's when Amy Marin calls, correct?
Yes.
Now, did anybody interview Claudia Perez, who worked at the funeral home also?
I did.
Okay. And And you know that Claudia Perez, during the interview, told you that the shooter squatted down between vehicles, correct?
I do recall her saying something like that.
And you also recall that Mr. Limones said that the shooter squatted down between vehicles at one point as well during his interview. He didn't say it during the 911, but during his interview.
It's been 3 years since I reviewed his interview, so I don't recall the specifics of what he said.
He testified to the jury. All I'm saying is that's consistent with what Claudia told you. Ms. Bettis told you.
Okay.
Is that consistent if he said that?
If he said that, yes, that would be consistent.
But he also did that and said that in his interview. And so I want to talk, because I'm going to go down your timeline and then reconcile it with your testimony. Okay. So I'm going to I'll look at my notes and then I'm going to go to the timeline. So
Okay.
we'll go from there. Now, based off of what Mr. Limones said in his 911 call, that's not the information that was dispatched, correct?
Not all of it.
Well, what was dispatched? Do you remember?
Well, it was dispatched as a crash initially.
Right.
But that was as a result of Amy Marin's 911 phone call. And then around the same time, Gilbert Limones had placed his 911 phone call.
I'm saying the specifics, the specifics of what Mr. Limones notified dispatch on at 11:29:05, wearing black, shooting at the school, running towards the school. All those important critical details were not dispatched to law enforcement, correct?
Not at that particular time.
That's what I'm saying. But that's pretty important. You would agree with this statement, right? If somebody's calling in saying, right now, there is someone shooting at a school and they're running towards the school and there's a description of this individual so officers can know what to look for, that is critical and time is of the essence in order to save lives. You agree with that, right?
Yes.
And that wasn't done. Fair statement?
Not at 11:29:05, which was the beginning of Mr. Limones's 911 phone call. Obviously, the transcription here,
Yes, sir.
to get every sentence, we don't have each second. And so it starts with the phone call. I do know that approximately 30 seconds after that, I do believe Uvalde Communications did relay information about a person with a gun.
Yeah, but not the specifics that I went over with you, right?
I remember they're saying that they're with a gun initially, and then eventually wearing black clothing.
But eventually,
Jesus fucking Christ. Critical information was not relayed to the officers on site. How hard can that be to admit?
And how hard is it to admit that the witnesses said he crouched between cars, between cars from two different. I didn't interview them. I mean, I looked at it for my timeline, but I didn't remember it.
He conveniently, and I think he's lying here, conveniently didn't review the things that spoke against the case. I'm saying he's a liar. He did review it, and he excluded it to make this seem. I'm getting that. Folks, I've been doing labor and employment law for well over 30 years, almost going towards 35 years now. I've sat across thousands of people trying to lie to me. Is it evidence? Absolutely not. I'm not a behavioral analyst or a voice analyst, but I am better at it than the average person, I believe. I say he's lying.
Yeah, so Texas Rangers of the accounting unit send someone who is tan because, like, we don't need a BP monitor. Dude's going to be cherry red by the end of this. So, yes, get someone who can hide their blush.
eventually gets people killed, right?
It depends on the passage of time, how much time
I know
has
that.
passed.
Eventually can potentially get people killed, right? If you wait and eventually relay important critical information, it could get people killed in a situation like this.
It's possible depending on how much time passes.
Oh, for fuck's
I'm giving you a
sake.
general question. That's why I said eventually. It's possible. And so let's go back to our timeline, or your timeline. And just before we get back to the timeline, you just compared an Apple phone to the funeral home, and you just, I mean, like right now my phone says 11:45. We just assume that Apple's correct, right?
The way that Apple does their time synchronization is very accurate. That was initially
trust
the way I
Apple?
approached the synchronization, but I did use another synchronization method to help narrow down or tighten the
Sure.
time.
I'm just saying, but this is how you started with an Apple phone, and then just kind of comparing it to what you saw on cameras, right? And by
At the very beginning, yes.
And so let's go back to your at 11:29:32. That's when you notify you notate that there's the shots fired at Gilbert Limones, correct? And Cody,
And possibly Albert Vargas.
because he was the person that was in the residence that came out as well.
Correct.
And you say possibly because did anybody interview him?
I believe he might have been interviewed, but I do not know that.
It didn't make your timeline though.
His interview didn't,
I got it.
or nothing about his interview.
But even before this though, the shooter had already tried to murder his grandma, right?
Correct.
And he shot his grandma in the face.
Yes.
And the person responsible for all this damage and heartache is dead. It's that same guy that tried to murder his grandma, right?
Yes.
And so back to our timeline, at 11:29:36, communication dispatches an officer, Randy Hill. Correct?
Yes.
And so he was specifically asked to go to route, right? To go to the incident. And he says, please be advised, shots fired. Right?
Yes.
Not shot fired at a school, correct?
Correct.
Not suspect wearing black,
Correct.
not suspect running towards that same school.
Correct.
Okay. And that would have been critical, you already said, right? For Officer Hill to know that information, right?
It would be important information, yes.
We're gonna get there. I might as well do it now just because I want to have context, because you testified to something specifically that I notated, and I want to talk about it. Then we'll come back to the timeline. You said that I believe you testified that Officer Hill arrived at the scene at 11:33:32. Do you recall that?
It would be approximately 11:33:16, 17.
Is that on your timeline?
That is not on the timeline.
And that's you making. Why is it not on your timeline?
After I had submitted this investigative packet, I was reviewing the Rob Channel 4 video and was able to narrow down the time that Officer Hill arrived at the intersection of Old Carrizo and Geraldine.
We'll talk about why he went to the intersection of Old Carrizo's in a second, but he didn't report in. He didn't call in when he got on the scene, right?
I don't believe he did.
Why would he not do that?
Did you tell the state when you narrowed down when Officer Hill showed up at the scene? Because it's not on your critical timeline.
Yes, I did.
When did you tell the state that information?
We've been talking about it probably for we had a meeting 2 months ago.
Was that
And
the
they
first
didn't
time
tell
you told the
defense?
state this new information?
He talked to the prosecution about when Hill arrived there, but he has no actual knowledge of when he was there.
And the state didn't give this information to the defense, that this was disclosed to them.
Yeah.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
I can't believe this is happening again.
I can.
They were discussing when Hill got there, put a timeline on Hill when he got there, and never disclosed it. Jesus Christ.
It's not on your timeline 2 months ago?
Officer Randy Hill was not, he wasn't, he was a person that showed up at the scene.
Yes, sir.
And I was reviewing through the Rob Channel 4 video to get a better an accuracy of when he arrived, because there were sirens that you could hear from the Rob Channel 4 surveillance video.
But you don't know that it's his sirens, right?
Well, when you see a vehicle with emergency lights flashing arrive
There
at the
were
intersection, and then just a few seconds later, and he's the only one. A few seconds later, you see Sergeant Coronado's dash cameras show that vehicle in the intersection.
So you said a lot there. So
They
I wanna
were
break all that down. So
standing.
when did you see lights arrive at that intersection?
As far as
What video did you see that on?
Rob Channel 4.
Rob Channel 4 meaning what?
There's the Rob Elementary surveillance video, the Channel 4 camera.
And what view is that showing?
That shows the East Breezeway.
That's a breezeway where Coronado was running down with Arredondo, right?
Correct. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so that breezeway. You're talking about this breezeway, right? Well, that's not where they ran down. They ran down over here.
They actually came from this location
I'm talking
and
about.
ran down. No, there's the video camera is going to be up here.
Okay, so you're saying, well, Coronado and Arredondo ran down this way. You're saying that they parked up here?
Yes, and they also ran down this.
Yes, sir. They ran. This is the breezeway I was talking about. So you're saying, and so where was Hill parked? So Hill's dispatched to this incident, and he parks over here.
Yes.
And so on your timeline, it shows at 11:33:22 that he is standing by his car, right?
Correct.
He's not acting. Hill, he's not.
Yeah, he's standing by his car. So he got there before that time.
Yeah, there's 4 legs, so there's another asshole talking to him.
Yeah.
Doing anything, standing by his car.
He's exiting his car. He had just arrived at that
No.
intersection.
Well,
How do you
No,
know?
you can't prove that.
No. You heard the sirens.
Yeah,
From-
you guesstimated.
You guesstimated. You didn't actually see him arrive. You didn't see. There's no video presented in court that when he
That shows
exits the car.
Oh, I know when he arrived.
well, you weren't there.
I can see it on the Rob Channel 4
But
video.
what I'm saying is, but let's go step by step. At 11:33:22, when Coronado, because the jury's seen this, when Coronado's driving, we'll talk about why he went around. You see him standing there. He's not exiting. There's 4 legs. It looks like there's 4 legs by his vehicle, right?
He could have been standing momentarily.
Well, that's what I was asking you initially. At 11:33:22, your timeline says that he is standing by his vehicle, right?
Correct.
Later on, what made you focus on Hill to go back and look and to correct this new information that you told the government 2 months ago?
The sounds of the sirens that were captured on the Rob Channel 4 video that was in the breezeway on the east side of the school were very loud. They were louder from that microphone than what the sounds of the sirens that would have come from Officer Mendoza's.
We are going on your
Are
estimation of loudness.
Are you a sound guy, Mr. Hill? Are you a sound guy? Are you a forensic sound examiner?
Ologist.
Yeah. No, you're not. You're guessing and hoping that that siren is Hill's car. And you no. And have you tested the cameras
do you-
audio against each other? Is this an amazing microphone and the others are worse?
Yeah, and is it different because it's in a breezeway that's outside versus ones that are in hallways inside? Genius. Jeez.
Officer Saucedo's and Sergeant Coronado's vehicles as they were pulling up to the intersection of South Grove and Geraldine. I was curious if I could find out where those louder sirens that were captured on the Rob Channel 4 camera, where they were coming from. And I knew that Randy Hill and Justin Mendoza had arrived at that intersection.
Okay, and you said a lot, and I want to dissect it all, right? Did you tell the government that his arrival was not on your timeline?
I don't recall us having that conversation.
But you told them that there's new information. You said, what conversation were you having about this then? What did you tell them 2 months ago? I'm really trying to get a feel for that.
Well, it's not new information because the video had been existing the entire time.
Well, this is a
They
critical.
delivered to the defense 2 years ago.
Well, hold on. That's,
They had the video for over 2
Okay,
years.
that's not an objection. Let's proceed.
yeah, I mean, figure it out, I guess, right? So this is a critical event timeline. What does critical mean to you?
A critical event,
What, I didn't ask that. What does it mean to you? Give me a definition, please.
a very important event.
Very important event. So everything in this timeline is important.
At the time the timeline was created, yes.
That wasn't my question. Everything in this timeline is important, just in general, right?
Objection, that's been asked and answered.
I'm not even gonna respond, Judge. So everything in this timeline is important, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and specifically at the time the timeline was created.
And so in your important timeline, you notated that Officer Hill was dispatched to an incident where he was advised shots were fired at the school, right?
Yes,
And that was at 11:29:36.
yes,
Almost 3 minutes before the shooter enters the building.
are you talking about from 11:29:36?
To 11:32:58.
Approximately.
So it's a little bit more than 3 minutes, right? It's a little bit more than 3 minutes. I was rounding down, right?
Approximately, yes.
And so instead of going to the school, Officer Hill goes to a corner.
My understanding when I looked up the,
Listen to my question, please. You can answer. I'm going to let you talk. I've let you talk a lot. My question was, after being dispatched to a school and a school where there were shots fired, he goes to a corner. Yes or no?
he goes to a corner of 715 Old Carrizo Road.
Yes. And that's a corner.
Correct.
And he was standing at that corner.
Momentarily, yes.
Well, you know he enters through the east door at 11:54:58, right?
Yes.
So he doesn't enter the building. He's dispatched before, more than 3 minutes before this animal enters the school. But doesn't enter the building for almost 25 minutes later.
That's correct.
Let's go back to our timeline. So now we're back in our timeline. And so you looked at the scene, and we're going to go through your opinion of your animation, because that animation is just your opinion, right? Based off what you looked at.
It's not my opinion. From a time perspective, it's based on the data that I observed.
Oh, you know I'm going to ask you questions about where you placed the shooter at different times, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the animation, you're not looking at a video, superimposing the video onto your animation. You're making educated guesses. It's your opinion, right?
As far as what part of the video?
The whole
How
thing
he
is your
walked up
opinion.
to.
Based off information. I'm not saying you're making it up. It's based off your information, right?
The animation is not my opinion. I have no opinion.
Well, you can have an opinion of how close someone is, right? You had an opinion on what at versus towards is. That you had an opinion about that, right?
And you asked me my opinion.
That was my question. You had an opinion about what at versus towards is, correct?
I do, yes.
Okay, so all I'm saying is you have an opinion based off what the evidence shows, right?
The animation itself was derived from the data that
We already know he's lying. Now he's actively lying. Go back and watch the
The
voir dire.
prosecutor.
Yeah, the voir dire of this guy. When they tried to get this animation thrown out or not admitted, he admitted that he put a circle 6 foot in diameter around the shell casing. The shell casing is the end of that circle, not in the middle of it. And folks, through my own experience, a shell casing can go fuck more than 6 foot, especially from an AR weapon.
Especially if he's moving. There's a lot of different variables. These are multifactorial experiments that you would have to do in order to get rational probabilities to.
Let's see here. Let's go back to watch this. Remember these 3? These are shell casings where they were found. Look at where this fucker is putting the shooter. Oh, come on, stop doing that. Why? For the love of fuck.
Even Nick's internet is done.
Look at where he's placing the shooter. Right on top of the shell casing. Right on top of. It is physically improbable. And look, the cross here in itself is 6 feet from end to end. We don't know if that is where the casing actually is. And he still puts the shooter on top of the casing just to make this in line of sight. That is not following the evidence. That is subjectively altering for the perception of the jury to accept the state's narrative. He's lying, and he knows he's lying. Okay.
Effects meaning kind of marks, effects from the actual cartridge projectile coming out, right?
Which location are you referring to specifically?
The one defect that the government was talking to you about.
Okay, too far.
Be seen, right? The shooter was shooting towards the school, right? And running towards the school. That would have been important. It would have been critical.
Yes,
Okay. But it's not in here.
correct.
Okay. And so while he's walking down, say no. You don't have to, if you want to banter with me, I'm happy to do that too. But just say no then, okay? Is that
Okay.
fair? Which is based off your opinion.
Objection, ask and answer three
No,
times,
Judge, he's being tricky and I'm trying to ask him
You've had
specific
it just
questions.
3 times, Your Honor.
I know they don't like the answer, Judge.
I'll overrule the objection. I'll sustain the objection to the sidebar, which wasn't made, and let's proceed.
So I'm gonna ask specific questions. You can say no. You don't have to, if you want to banter with me, I'm happy to do that too. But just say no then, okay? Is that
Okay.
fair? Okay. So this is based on, this is your rendition. The government asked you, it was your rendition. This is your rendition, the animation that we're gonna get to, right?
Yes,
Okay. So when we look at the open field and we see the shooter get out of his vehicle, because he's already shot towards or up at Mr. Limones and Mr. Briseño, correct?
and possibly Mr. Vargas.
Possibly, but you didn't review his interview, right?
I don't know that he was interviewed. I cannot recall.
He may have had important information on whether the shooter was shooting towards the school, right, and running towards the school. That would have been important. It would have been critical.
Yes,
Okay, but it's not in here.
correct.
Okay. And so while he's walking down into Robb Elementary campus, we see no spent shell casings in this open area, correct?
Correct.
What assumption can you make? What opinion can you have about that?
That he didn't fire his firearm.
And so, and then there's no casings anywhere here, correct?
Correct.
And so it is safe to say that at this point, he wasn't shooting anywhere while he's walking towards this area.
Yes.
And this is, why did you give him this loopity-loop, this area here, this walkway, and then around?
When I was reviewing the Hillcrest Funeral Home, specifically Channel 2 and Channel 4 camera angles, you could see the shooter walking from the crash site over to the school. Now, that's not going to be this exact path. This is not a scale diagram. I'm looking for key features in the grass that were still existent on this particular Google overlay, and approximately positioned the shooter on that path.
But he could have easily just gone straight this way too, right?
It did not appear, looking at the Hillcrest video, that he went straight.
And appear means your perception,
My perception was that he didn't walk straight.
your opinion.
It's based on analysis of it.
Your perception is your opinion, right?
In that particular case, yes.
There's no data points here. I mean, there's no casings, there's no footprints. That's what I'm saying. I'm just, it's not meant to be a difficult question. I'm just saying he could have gone this way too, right?
Correct.
Object to repetitive and banter. The witness has answered it 3 or 4 times, Judge.
Okay. I'll sustain the objection. Go ahead.
No, he's trying to avoid answering the question. Oh, fuck this guy.
Did you put in your animation that he was hiding between two cars?
He did walk between two cars.
Did you put that in your animation?
Yes.
Okay, we'll look at that. But you didn't put that he squatted down and hid between them, right?
That I could not verify if he actually squatted down and hid. I do know that he walked in between two vehicles.
Well, you knew that Mr. Limones said he couldn't be seen, right?
Yes.
You knew that Claudia Perez said he couldn't be seen, that he was hiding between two cars?
Yes.
But you decided not to put that portion in because you couldn't determine it.
I put the location that he walked.
Okay.
He could have squatted down in that particular location between the cars.
Okay.
Yeah, at no point in this animation is the shooter between two cars.
No, not at one point at all. Now he is between the cars and the building.
Yeah.
You talked about some. We're going to get to that defect in the corner. I want to go systematically. The way the government asked you questions bases the timeline. So I'm going to try to. If I jump a little bit, bear with me. I'll try to signpost where I'm going. Okay, so you know where I'm at. He asked you about room 102, 104, 103, and the defects there versus the shell casings, right? Remember that? And then he talked about a defect on that wing, that E wing, room 24, I believe it was.
Yes.
Okay. You don't know how the shooter shot the weapon, right? I'm not going to belabor this issue. I'm just trying to make a point. You don't know if he held it up on his shoulder or his hip.
Not for all the only shots we could see. His shooting platform was in the hallway, so no. From the outside, no.
Yes,
did not have anything.
And just so the jury knows, I don't know if they heard this term. What is shooting platform? So you can explain to them.
It's the positioning that you'll take when you shoot a firearm, and specifically in this case, a rifle. You can shoot it up. You can bring it down to the hip. You can assume a kneeling or a standing or a prone position.
And so outside, if somebody with bad intentions, with intent to shoot up the school, swung their gun up to shoot 102, 104, there could have been what's an accidental discharge? What we explain to the jury what that means?
Accidentally pressing your finger on the trigger and firing an unintended shot.
Right, an unintended shot, and that means that they don't have muzzle control or trigger discipline, right?
Correct.
Okay. And meaning trigger discipline, they're putting their finger on the trigger before they're intending to shoot, and they're pointing the barrel, the muzzle, in a direction that they're not intending to shoot.
Yes.
In law enforcement, it's called maybe sweeping. If I don't have muzzle control and I sweep this way, but this is my barrel, my muzzle, that's sweeping. That's poor muzzle control, correct?
Correct.
And then discipline, meaning I'm not indexing my finger, I'm inside the trigger guard, and that means there could be an accidental discharge if I'm excited.
Correct.
And so indexing means keeping your finger high and outside the trigger guard, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if somebody was shooting low from hip, low ready, but low from here, and was intending to shoot in this direction, but on the sweep, came up this way, started shooting early, that could be an explanation for that one-off defect high on that building, correct? Could be.
Which location are you referring to specifically?
The one defect that the government was talking to you about, remember that one? And
But the shots. I'm sorry.
The 24,
So,
the one that went into room 24. The one that you have, you spend time with the PVC pipe, the one that's not like the others.
Yeah.
Weaponized stupidity is a weapon that I fall for
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah. He conveniently removes things. As he said, well, I cannot verify that. You can't, there's a lot of things you can't verify. So you put him where there's absolutely no evidence he was instead?
building?
Yes, I remember that one. Now, the 102 shots for the cartridge casings that were there were the same amount of defects in the window.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying if somebody walks up
Yes.
here intending to shoot this and I'm not gonna go through it again, and has poor muzzle control, bad, trigger discipline, puts his finger in accident, this could be a one-off as he's trying to swing it this way to shoot this building up.
It's
It's
possible.
possible, right?
Yes.
But if somebody was on that side of the building claiming that shooter was shooting at them multiple times, what would you expect to see on the southeast and the south side of that building? What would you expect to see?
If they were shooting at them multiple times,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Depending on how they were holding the rifle, if they were using a good shooting platform or holding the rifle properly, I would expect to see projectile defects in the structures.
Right, those defects meaning kind of marks, effects from the actual cartridge projectile coming out, right?
Correct.
Okay. And there was none, other than that one off high up, there was no other defects on those buildings that you saw?
Not that we found.
Yes, sir. Well, it's not that you didn't find them, they just weren't on the buildings, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's not like they were on the buildings, but you passed them
In
up.
those particular areas, no. Now, if the round would have gone high and over the school and landed in somebody's backyard, we weren't able to.
Yes, sir.
To know that.
Now, at some point, when you were talking about, we're gonna get back to our timeline. At some point in this incident, you had talked about some of these windows had been broken out because law enforcement were helping children get out of the room, right?
Yes.
You're aware now that Adrian was one of those officers that was helping children get out of those buildings, right?
Yes.
That building. So let's get back to our, so the first dispatch to Officer Hall is at 11:29:36, correct? Hill, did I say Hall? I'm sorry, Hill.
Yes.
Okay. He goes to a corner and does not go to the school, correct?
Not as soon as he gets to the intersection, but he does form up with another group of officers.
Yeah, but he's not going to the gunfire, right?
It's a few seconds from what I recall from when they arrived to when they actually start making their movements towards the school.
No, you just
Taken
No, you
25
said
minutes
he
to get to
was-
that school.
That's through the east door.
Did he go in another door that we don't see?
There was a group of officers that actually ran to the east side of the fourth grade building and positioned outside the east wall of the fourth grade building.
Yeah, but there's a big deal made of when Adrian got there, when Adrian went into the building, what Adrian saw, what Adrian knew, what Adrian was told, what Adrian perceived. So don't you think it's only fair that we look at what other officers saw, perceived, did, and entered? Can we do that, please?
Yes.
Okay, so that's all I was saying. He didn't enter this building for 25 plus minutes, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I was asking. And so we'll talk about what he was doing or not doing, but he wasn't running towards the gunfire.
He actually was with the group of officers running towards the fourth grade building.
not until after.
25 minutes. Jesus.
When he already knew the guy was inside.
And pinned down.
Motherfucker.
He just didn't enter.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but he didn't, with their perception, running to the gunfire is going to it, right? So is your opinion to this jury that Officer Hill was running to the gunfire?
I'm not Officer Hill. I didn't speak with him. I don't know what he was running towards. I just know that he was running towards the fourth grade building with other officers.
So then it's your opinion that Adrian he not only drove towards the gunfire, he also made it into the building and he ran to the gunfire too then, based off your analysis, right?
I'm sorry, you said about Mr. Gonzalez, he drove to the gunfire?
You agree that Mr. Gonzalez drove into the gunfire, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and he actually went to the gunfire because he made it into the building.
Yes, eventually, yes, he did.
Well, way more than 25, 30 minutes before Hill did, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I was asking. So at some point, and there still hasn't been an accurate communication of what Mr. Limones had told the dispatcher back when he called at 11:29:05, right? It still has not been, no one knew exactly all those details, right?
For that first dispatch?
Yes, sir,
Is that what
at
you're referring to?
11:29:05.
That's going to be Gilbert Limones's 911 phone call.
Yes, sir.
And which radio communication are you referring to?
I'm just
Just in
saying,
general?
nobody had that information at that point. No one had, let's be specific. Since they asked you about when Adrian showed up, Adrian parks his car at 11:31:55, correct?
approximately.
Approximately. He didn't have the information that Mr. Limones was telling the dispatcher, correct?
At that point,
The answer is no, because she didn't put it out, idiot. You don't
he
even need to
arrived,
read.
Mr. Gonzalez parked at 11:31:55, and the radio transmission came out at 11:29:36.
No, the information. Jesus fucking Christ, you elusive snake. You know exactly what the defense is asking about. And you're pretend stupid about it. The information.
Yep. I
Young
will be
man.
drinking in the afternoon.
For the love of fuck.
How his radio was programmed, it's possible that he
Well-
had access to that.
Well, 11:29, say what, 36? That was, the dispatch was to Randy Hall.
Yes, but the way the radio systems work, other officers can hear that traffic as well.
Well, it depends how they're programmed, right?
That's true.
And
yes.
all I'm saying is, all it said was shots fired, shots fired. That's why I was saying, nobody knew the information that Mr. Limones was telling the dispatch. That's all I asked you initially.
Not the detail of it.
That's what I mean. So when Adrian's included in everybody, right? Nobody, right? Adrian is included in all the other officers. Can we treat him like the other officers?
Yes.
Okay. So he didn't know at 11:31:55, he did not know what Mr. Limones was reporting to dispatch.
Not the details, but he may very well have heard this radio transmission.
I understand. I'm talking about specific details, right?
I'm not Mr. Gonzalez. I don't know what he heard.
Based off the radio transmission. The radio transmission says an accident, shots fired, essentially. That's what she dispatched Hill to go do, right?
Correct.
If I have you en route to Old Carrizo's Road, that's what she tells him to do. I have one vehicle accident, white pickup truck crashed in a ditch. I have a caller advising me, male subject has a gun. Shots fired, shots fired.
Yes.
So everybody could have heard that possibly, depending how their radio was programmed, but that's all they heard.
Possibly. Yes.
But that's not all she was told.
That's not possible. That is the exact words spoken on radio. That's not possible, you twat. Lying sack of shit.
That's not all the detail that Gilbert Limones gave.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's a disconnect there in information. But that information is critical for every one of these officers because they're going into this circumstance, right?
It is critical information. Yes.
So Adrian shows up and his car at 11:31:55 is parked by that fourth grade building, right?
Kind of to the southeast of that building and just to the west of the building.
I want to punch this guy.
He's going to get a picture up for us, but until then, I wouldn't waste his time. Yeah, you can use your pointer.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Roughly about that location right there.
And we'll get the actual picture. But so at some point, there's a description of there's something put out there that someone's running, that there's some suspect running, right? At some point.
I believe so. Yes.
And so you know now, and during your investigation, that Adrian Gonzalez was driving towards a person running.
Yes.
So potential information he could have had is there's an accident, there's someone running towards the school, there's a gun, and there's shots fired. And Adrian Gonzalez doesn't stop on a corner. He goes all the way into the school, right? Towards a person running.
Yes.
Officer Hill didn't do that, did he?
As far as when?
Well, I mean, when he first got to the scene, let's talk about both officers first getting to the scene. Mr. Gonzalez, because they compared Saucedo to Gonzalez, and I'm going to get there in a second. Let's compare Hill to Gonzalez. They both have the same information. Gonzalez drives into the scene towards someone running that he thought could have a gun. Hill stops on a corner, right? In general, basically.
Momentarily, yes.
Okay, momentarily. Okay, that's good. So can you see this over here? This is
Yes.
Defense Exhibit 8. And we see,
Ooh.
Yeah, that's very close to fourth grade.
Yeah.
He drove
Yeah.
very near.
Let's see here. We are 50 minutes behind. We're not going to have lunch again. I'm going to.
If you want to take a break and go eat, no, I can't do the thing, but I can pull up the feed on my feed and then.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Towards that location, and there was somebody there, my understanding.
It ended up not being the shooter, but we're making assessments at the time because what we have to do is analyze, as you said earlier, each individual officer's decision-making based off what they knew at the time, right? What they were dealing with. And so at the time, Officer Gonzalez thinks that knows or hears, he doesn't know for sure yet, that there was an accident initially, that there was someone with a gun, there were shots fired, and there was some type of running towards or at a school, roughly. Yes. Okay. And he goes towards that. He's acting. Would you agree that this is a person of action?
He's driving to, I guess, what he perceives as somebody standing there, or if I recall correctly, has fallen down.
Standing there? No, she was running.
No, she was running and falling down. You know this, officer. Why do you keep? Oh.
Right. But they were running first. Remember, because you have to either walk or run before you can fall, right?
Yes.
And so
not necessarily, but
well, if Miss Flores said she was running, she testified to this jury. You believe that I told you that?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's about 20 minutes
Mr.
left
Gonzalez
before
is
lunch.
acting. You believe this is action, correct?
It's action.
Okay. And so once he gets there, I noticed not in your critical timeline, there's not a place that acknowledges what Melanie Flores told this jury. And what she told this jury, just so you know, is that she was with Adrian Flores dealing with this situation for 2 to 7 minutes. That's not in your timeline, right?
When this timeline was created, it was just based upon the initial interviews, and I'm going off of what Melanie Flores' initial interview contained.
Well, that's she only interviewed twice, right?
I don't know for sure. I know there was something after the initial interview, but I was not a part of any of that.
She's a critical part of their indictment. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're telling me that you weren't asked to look at both of her interviews and incorporate that in this critical timeline?
I only looked at her first interview. I didn't see the second interview.
And then the first interview said, basically what I'm telling you, they both collectively say this, but that she came in to interview with you guys 7 days later, right? You guys didn't go to her, she came to you.
I didn't conduct the interview.
Did you review it at all?
It would have been about 3 years ago, and I don't recall the specifics of the interview.
How in the love of fuck are you creating a timeline and actively excluding
Things.
a person who was actually there? Now, we know she's full of, she's misremembering things, but she's crucial to the state's case. Why would you exclude that?
I am.
Yeah.
They're relying on her specifics, and then they have you as a witness to testify to this jury. You understand why I'm asking you specifics, right?
We had Ms. Flores come testify, Your Honor, is what she said.
Then why put him up on the stand?
Okay, neither one are legal objections. Overruled, proceed.
Okay, so you can understand why I'm asking you specifics at least, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so I understand what your answer was, but that's not important. Her 2 to 7 minutes with Mr. Gonzalez after he drove to this dangerous situation is not incorporated in your critical timeline, right?
The unaccounted time for Mr. Gonzalez would be incorporated in the timeline.
And see, that's where I'm going. See,
Unaccounted.
they want you to.
Yeah. You put in other officers. You put in the I'm almost said the graveyard people, but the funeral home people. Why would you not? Why would you actively exclude a person who was right there?
Because it makes it look like Adrian was running away.
Yeah.
It's so dirty.
Yeah.
Testify to this
Unaccountable.
unaccounted time. And if this unaccounted time was told under oath to this jury of a 2 to 7 minute timeline, it's not unaccounted anymore, right?
From my perspective,
Let me ask you a
because-
question. I don't want your perspective right now. I don't mind it. If there's unaccounted time that the government wants you to testify to this jury, because they want this jury to hold Adrian Gonzalez
Objection,
accountable
Your
for
Honor,
unaccounted
what
time.
the state wants, that has nothing to do with question.
It's the same.
So let's talk about unaccounted time. There's 2 to 7 minutes that Ms. Flores testified to this jury that she's with Adrian Gonzalez at that exact scene. That's important. If you're analyzing unaccounted time, wouldn't that be something you would have wanted to know? That's all I'm asking.
I didn't have access to that particular type of information.
Oh, I know, and I'm not blaming you for it, by the way. I understand that, Ranger. I'm just saying that would have been important information for you to know if you're analyzing unaccounted time.
It would be important information, but I actually prefer not to have that information in advance. Because I used my.
I want to make sure I understand you, because I don't want to misstate something. So you're here to analyze, give your opinion of unaccounted time to this jury, and you don't want to know of potential reasons for that unaccounted time, because then it would be accounted for.
My role in this particular part was
Did you hear my
to-
question?
Objection, Your Honor.
I asked a specific question, Judge.
Let him answer the question.
Okay, I'll overrule the objection. You can answer, sir. Finish your answer.
Yeah, all I'm saying is if
Judge,
you're
I
here,
think you said
well,
he finished his
he
answer,
sustained,
he didn't let him.
he overruled your objection, Bill.
But he said he let him.
Yeah,
No,
let,
but that means he didn't answer my question.
let's restate the question. Listen carefully, Ranger, and answer it as quickly and as specifically as you can, okay? Go ahead.
If you're analyzing unaccounted time, and there's a potential reason for that unaccounted time, 2 to 7 minutes, would that be important for you to analyze unaccounted time? That's all I was asking.
Yes, it would be important.
That's all I was asking. And so that's not in our critical timeline, but that's something that was testified to. So we have Adrian with Ms. Flores for 2 to 7 minutes. And I know that's a range, but that's her testimony, okay? And so they were asking you that it took between the time Adrian shows up and the time that the shooter goes into the building. I thought you said it was 1 minute and 4 seconds. Do you remember saying that? Yeah.
That would be the time between when Mr. Gonzalez parked to when the shooter entered through the west door, approximately 1 minute and 4 seconds.
So
If he is preoccupied with a hysterical woman for 2 to 7 minutes, does that account for that fucking minute? I might be pissed off drunk even before slightly buzzed today.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Oh, folks, 5:30 p.m. today, slightly buzzed Friday show.
Your critical timeline, by the way, so let's just go over it really quick. 11:29:05, 911 call Limones, right?
Yes.
Okay. 11:29:36, it's not on here. Hill is dispatched to this location.
Yes.
11:32:23, we're gonna get there, but I'll give you kind of a heads up. Mendoza shows up at the scene. Correct.
Yes.
11:32:29, Saucedo shows up, correct?
Yes.
11:33:32, Coronado shows up, right?
Yes.
11:32:58, shooter enters the building.
Yes.
58, I'm sorry, not 38, 58.
58. Yes.
And 11:32:59, it's gonna be critical in a second. Adrian says something over the radio about maybe where possibly the shooter could be.
You want me to look it up?
Yes, sir. If you didn't look at it yet, yes, please.
Yes, I found the transmission.
Okay.
They are not back from lunch yet, by the way, so this
So
drew
11:31:55.
out.
Adrian parked. Correct?
Correct.
And then now you know, but you didn't know it at the time. There's a 2 to 7 minute period where Adrian is dealing with gunfire because he can hear it too. We're going to talk about that 14 seconds later. And he's dealing with a frantic individual in front of him. Okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe you don't know this, but she testified that she's telling him south entrance, west side. I mean, there's a lot of things going on at that time, and that's understandable because she's under stress.
Objection, that's a misstatement of evidence. She never told the officer the south entrance.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what the lawyers say in their questions, as I've told you before, is not evidence. If your recollection of the evidence you heard differs, rely on.
She didn't testify to it in court, but that's what she told the Rangers in her interview until they had to correct her.
Yeah.
Your own recollection. Proceed.
But now that you've reviewed her interviews, you know that the ranger and Mr. Garza here, their investigator, had to correct her and said the shooter did not enter through the south building. You know that she was corrected during one of her interviews, right?
I wasn't aware of that.
You weren't aware of that? Okay, well, I will represent you and they're not going to correct me because she was corrected, okay? So 11:31:55, and you're saying 1 minute and 4 seconds later, the shooter enters the building, right?
Yes.
So if the shooter enters at 11:32:58, that's where you're getting the 1 minute and 4 seconds, right?
Yes.
And so this is what we're really talking about. We're talking about 1 minute and 4 seconds when somebody's claiming that Adrian shows up on the scene, dealing with everything, and the shooter's in the building, right?
What about that time?
Well, he shows up to the
Correct.
scene. He's dealing with someone frantic. He hears gunshots because 14 seconds later, he says, shots fired, right?
Right.
He's trying to observe and orient himself, and then maybe he's getting shot at. He doesn't know where this fire is coming from, correct?
Correct.
And 1 minute and 4 seconds later, the shooter's in the building. Right?
Yes.
And once the shooter's in the building, Adrian doesn't know when he went into the building. There's no evidence that shows that, right?
Correct.
Because he's on the southeast side and there's no line of sight, correct?
Correct.
He had no idea that he had entered the building at 11:32:59, right?
There was some radio transmission, I believe, by Sergeant Coronado saying that he may have made it inside the building.
Then why did
But-
Sergeant Coronado drive away?
Or there was somebody that had radio transmission.
Yeah. Then why did he drive? Well, we heard from Sergeant Wadler, but he thought he was going to go through the school, so he drove all the way around to try to intercept him. And I don't know how soundproof that school is, but he's already been firing through windows. How
And-
can he drive around and not hear all those shots fired?
Yeah, and if they don't have a tactical channel where it's all of them together, then
Transmission.
But it wasn't Coronado, right?
I can't say for certain.
But you just tried to tell the jury that it was Coronado, but it wasn't Coronado, right?
There was transmission shortly after
After
the
what?
shooter entered through the west door.
Yeah, so shortly
After-
after is
after!
11:32:59.
After.
Will you look at your critical timeline and tell me what that is?
This is when Officer Gonzalez says going to be on the west side of the school, by those vehicles. Supposed to be wearing all black.
What is supposed to mean to you? So when someone says supposed to be doing something, it indicates that they didn't see, they're being told something. So supposedly this is what's happening, right?
And that's possible.
In general. And so he says supposed to be wearing black. So by the time Adrian shows up on the scene, is dealing with a frantic witness, and there's nothing, Miss Flores, I'm not criticizing her at all. She's got a lot going on. She told kids to go back inside. She's fallen. She thinks she's being shot at. She's hearing sounds. There's echoing, right? He's dealing with her. He finally gets oriented. He reports at 11:32:09, shots fired, right? That's from Adrian Gonzalez.
Correct.
Okay, so he's there, he's got to get out of his vehicle, he sees a potential victim he doesn't know, he thought it was the suspect as he drove into it because he took action, and he takes more action by getting out of his vehicle. He didn't stay in his vehicle, right?
Based on what you're telling me in his interaction with Miss Flores, yes, he didn't stay in his
I
vehicle.
appreciate you trusting me, I really do. But based off of your interview, based off your investigation, you know he got out of his vehicle.
I didn't conduct an interview, but yes, he did get out of his
But
vehicle.
you did do an investigation, right?
I participated in the investigation, yes.
But that
What?
participation has a critical timeline that everybody's depending on, right?
Correct.
And so you know so that takes more action to get out of your vehicle, right?
Yes.
And then if there's shooting going on, you have a better chance or a worse chance of surviving if you get out of your vehicle.
You have a better chance if you get out of your vehicle.
Get out of the vehicle or stay in your vehicle and try to hide and not be seen to get shot.
As me being a police officer, I would not want to stay in my vehicle
Tactically, right? You either get behind the engine block or you run.
or find some other cover or go
I got it.
to the threat.
Right, but you don't get out of the vehicle and subject yourself maybe just to stand around and pace, right? You wouldn't be pacing back and forth.
I would not.
Okay. And so all I'm saying is he gets there, he says shots fired 14 seconds later because he hears them himself, right? And he wants to relay, part of your training is to communicate to other officers to let them know, hey, there's shots fired, heads up, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then between here and here, a minute, give a different color. Thank you. So from here to here is a minute and 4 seconds, right?
From the 11:31:55 to the 11:32:59.
58.
Yeah.
58.
Yes.
That's a minute and 4 seconds. At 11:32:59, Adrian, after getting information from the witness, listening, because he never saw the shooter, but he's listening to things, he's giving an approximation. He's making educated guess to notify other officers. West side of the building, west side of the...
Testify, this is not asking a question, Tom.
He's relaying information, Judge. I'm just trying to...
You're saying what?
Go ahead and ask the question, please.
Okay. He transmitted, let's say transmitted, Adrian transmitted information to everybody on the radio, correct?
Yes.
And part of that transmission is he says supposed to be wearing black, correct?
Yes.
And that was a second after the shooter had made it in the building, correct?
Yes.
And that's consistent with someone who has never seen this shooter. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so he obviously had no idea when this person entered the building. So he's relaying the information as soon as he's gathering it, he's relaying the information, correct?
Yes.
But the shooter's already in the building.
At that time, yes.
And the time that he shows up at the scene to the time the shooter gets into the building is 1 minute and 4 seconds, right?
Through the west door, yes.
And then once he makes it in that building, 20 seconds later, he's assaulting those children.
Objecting this statement of fact, Your Honor, it was 45 seconds. He testified.
Okay, let me, I'll make it real easy, Judge, if you will.
Well, I need to repeat it. The objection is overruled. Rely on your own recollection, ladies and gentlemen. Proceed.
Okay. Does someone have to enter a room to assault somebody with a weapon?
No.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So do you mind if I use an example, you and I are I'm shooting at you hypothetically?
Please.
Okay. If this is a door in front of you and I'm standing outside that door and I have a weapon and I'll still aim down and I'm shooting at you with this weapon through the door, am I assaulting you?
Yes.
So the assault happened 22 seconds later, right? You can look at your timeline.
From the hallway, yes.
Yes, sir. From when he enters the building at 11:32:58, in 20 more seconds, he goes down to 112 and he starts shooting that door. 22 seconds, I think it is.
Do you want me to calculate that for you? Or?
No, you don't need to do it for me, but do it for the jury, please.
Meanwhile, a dozen other cops is walking on the wrong fucking side of the school, doing fuck
Yes,
all
approximately
nothing.
22 seconds.
That's what I said, 22 seconds. So 22 seconds later, he walks to 112 and just starts shooting through the door. So he's assaulting those children in those rooms.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Thank you. That would
And so all of
not
that.
cover all of it, but it
And so-
will help. UK Anton.
You're
5 pounds
trying
for
to
booze.
analyze and hold Adrian responsible for a minute and 4 seconds plus 22 seconds, right?
There's additional time to consider.
I got it. But essentially, I'm talking about when he gets into the building, which he didn't know it happened, to when he starts assaulting those children. It's a minute and 26 seconds.
From the time he starts shooting into the classrooms.
That's from getting into the building to shooting the classrooms. It's a minute and 22 seconds.
No, it's
I'm sorry. From when he gets there, from Adrian gets on the scene to him shooting the classrooms, it's a minute and 26 seconds.
To starting to shoot in the classrooms,
Right.
yes.
That's it. And this whole time, Hill is still at the corner somewhere, right?
He arrives at the scene, like I said earlier, approximately 11:33:17 is when he parks at the intersection.
That's just what your opinion. That part's not in the critical time. That's your later on assessment, right?
I did observe it on a camera angle, but yes,
Did anybody ever interview Hill?
I don't recall.
Would it have been important for someone to ask Hill, why didn't you go to the school and why did you stop on a corner?
I can't answer that question. I wasn't involved in any of those interviews.
No, but I'm asking you, in your opinion, your training and experience, would it have been important for us to consider why Hill went to a corner when he's dispatched at 11:29:36, 3 minutes before this person even enters the building? Why he went to a corner instead of to the school? Wouldn't that have been important to ask?
It would have been an important question to ask, along with why you responded to the school and your actions around your once you actually arrived at the school.
Yes, sir. But that wasn't done by anybody. It's not your fault, and that just wasn't done.
I don't know if he was not interviewed or was interviewed. I'm not sure.
That would have been important to put in here, right?
The timeline doesn't include every single event that occurred. You'd have to go to all of the investigations.
We know, fuck twat, because you didn't
That's
even
what we're
include
pointing-
Flores.
That's what we're pointing out, that this critical timeline that you say is the most critical, that takes care of everything, isn't
Lacks
being...
a whole fucking lot of information.
Reports in order to get more details about those interviews.
Well, I'll represent you. We don't know why you went to that corner, okay? So
All right, folks, let me go ahead and give you your lunch recess at this point. Take an hour, get back as quick as you can, and remember my instructions. We'll be in recess for 1 hour, which might get 1:35. Would everyone rise for adjournment?
We have 5 minutes to spare. 6.
So, fuck's sake. Hey, the eagle is back. We don't have to watch the clock.
I did notice that the pacing was brought up, so I think we're going to get Coronado pacing.
Yeah. Yeah,
And we're
definitely, because where the fuck was Flora?
Where was Coronado?
She got the clothing wrong. She got the beard wrong on the Gonzalez. She actually had no idea, and she was, according to herself, with him for 2 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
What if she was still around there somewhere, looking up, seeing Sergeant Waddle just pacing back and forth, and just incorporated that? Speculation, but then again, nothing she says makes sense.
Yeah, and we don't know how the jury is reacting.
Yeah, that's not a timeline. That's a list of convenient participation. He excludes a whole fucking lot of information in it.
Yeah, and then doesn't admit that information was excluded. Well, he could have found out, like, out. He drove in. He had a minute to orient himself, and then he was going toward the gunfire.
I'm just saying that this guy made a very, very convenient timeline. Then he did this animation, which is absolute horse shit. As he puts the shooter on top of the casings and then adds a 6-foot diameter around it, making it seem like he's within the line, not only within the line of sight from where Gonzalez parked, but from within line of sight from when Gonzalez drove in. Let's go back and look at it.
Hey, Nick, I'm going to hop off
Yeah.
and get things ready for the stream. So thank you. I will be on my channel getting stuff ready.
Yeah, do so. And I will just finish off here. But look at this. Remember this. I'm going to remove sound here. Where is there? Look at, let's go back 5 seconds. Look at where the state puts the shooter, right there. According to the state, Gonzalez is here with the shooter more or less directly in front of him, shooting into the school. This is false. That is so false. And again, he drove there because Miss Flores was there. And they didn't include Miss Flores, who also, if this was correct according to the state's timeline, she actually would have, she would have been within 10 fucking feet of the shooter, according to this animation. I don't have strong enough words for what the prosecution is doing here. This is worse than Binger in the Zachariah Anderson case. This is worse than Brennan in the Ken Reed case. This is up there with McLeland in the Delphi case, with the absolute ruthless disregard of actual evidence. Yeah, as Tim said, that in no way possible, especially with prior witness testimony. And this guy on the stand admitted, no, he couldn't care less about people telling he's crouching between cars. But he says, oh, well, I couldn't verify that, so I fuck it. It didn't include the Flores. I watched the first interview and decided to fuck it.